Right, it is 10:02. Nobody's here, but I'm gonna start the meeting anyway, because it's being recorded and you guys can watch it at a later time. Um, as usual, you can get extra credit for watching the video. To get extra credit, you'll need to send me an email with a list of the attendance words or the attendance phrases. So, my first phrase for attendance is spring break. And speaking of which, I will go ahead and let you know that my kids are on spring break. So you'll have to please ignore the noise in the background. I'm working from home and they are doing their thing. Anyway, this is going to be a very quick and easy meeting because I don't really have much new to say. The mistakes are the same mistakes that have been mentioned before. So, for example, the discussions again, you need to properly use sources. I'm sorry to be a pain that way, but yeah, it's very important that you use sources properly. I'll remind you that not just with the discussions, but with any assignment, you can meet me online, and I will help you do the assignment. I will walk you through it. I will go step by step. I'm here for you if you need my help doing an assignment. And likewise, I'm also happy to look over your assignment before you submit it. That could be a very quick process. Just let me look it over and give you, big feedback like, oh man, you shouldn't turn this in because you'll get zero credit because you made this huge mistake, right? I would tell you the big mistakes that you've made. Um, and of course, as always, if you meet me after I've graded an assignment and allowed me to give you detailed feedback, then you'll get a 5% boost to your grade. And also, and I can't stress this enough, I'm human, I make mistakes. So, another good thing about meeting me for feedback is we might find a mistake that I've made, right? And this has happened before, where I'll look over a lab and I'm giving feedback, and then I realize, oh wow, I shouldn't have deducted points for that, right? And then, in which case you would get your points back. So please take me up on that offer. Um, let me share my screen. Let's look at some things very quickly. All right. So, really quickly, this week's lab is pretty straightforward. It's pretty simple. Um, Basically, what you're going to do, it's a two-part lab. First of all, you're going to go to a website. You're going to do a virtual DNA extraction, as you can see here. And while you're doing this, right, as while you go from one to the next, as you can see here, they did, and they there's information presented. While you're doing that, you're going to answer these questions. These questions just provide proof that you are paying attention and going through the virtual lab. And then at the end of that, once you get to the end of that virtual lab, I want you to take a screenshot once again to prove that you did the experiment, the virtual experiment, and you're going to insert the screenshot here. That's part one. Part two is just simply watching this video while answering these questions. It's very simple. You don't have to do it in that order. You can do the video first and then the virtual experiment second. It's however you want to do it. It's completely up to you. Also, where's this is that? You know what? There should be more extra credit opportunities here, so I'm going to fix that. But anyway, if at the end of after you've done this lab, if you didn't get full credit, let me know. If you want to do more extra credit, I can give you some extra credit, some more videos to watch, to add points to this lab, so you can get full credit if you want. And that's pretty much it. This is module 6, so that means you have exam 3 will be due here in 2 weeks. As always, I'll remind you that the quizzes are your study guides for the exam. As always, I'll remind you that after you've done a quiz, once you're done with it, because remember, you can take a quiz as many times as you want. Once you're done with it and you're satisfied with your grade, you can meet me online for feedback, and I can give you all the correct answers to the quizzes. So then you can use that to prepare for the exam. And again, as always, a 5% boost to that grade if you allow me to give you feedback. That's pretty much it. I would talk. So that's the discussion. Or excuse me. That's the lab for this week. Um, I mean, I guess we can quickly look at the discussions. It's pretty straightforward at this point. There's nothing new. Again, my biggest piece of advice is to make sure that you are using using your sources correctly. That's the biggest mistake I see. And then beyond that, I mean, let's just take a look at it very quickly. It's, again, very straightforward. Mostly what this discussion is what the other ones are, which is like, hey, here's some information from your textbook. Look it up, right? So I'm very often, I'm sure you've noticed the theme here is me saying or suggesting that you could fact check the textbook, essentially, right? So, hey, I'm telling you this. This is what the textbook says. I'm telling you, you should know that. And what I'm telling you is for these discussions is look it up. So, see if that's what other sources say. So the biggest mistake I've seen, other than not using sources properly, the current theme in all of these things is that you need to have at least one quote from your source, right? Direct quote, and you use quotation marks, right? So quote your source, quote your textbook as well, right? So both of those need to be quoted. I know that sounds nitpicky. One of the reasons I do this is because AI is very bad about using or providing quotes. So this is one of the reasons why I asked you to do this, is to ensure that you are writing your papers and AI is not writing your papers. I will point this out. This will be the last thing I say. Well, first of all, actually, I take that back. Before I move forward, the next word for attendance is to tell me what word I am highlighting on the screen right now. You can see I'm hovering my mouse above it. This is the next word for attendance. But anyway, for the discussions, a new thing that I'm going to start doing now is, if you're doing a current event, if you're going to discuss anything about current events, which in this case for Module 6 this is required, you cannot use a current event that has been used by another student. I suspect that a lot of you are basically just copying your classmates, which is not acceptable. So for that reason, I'm going to crack down on this. You cannot use a current event that has already been used. And yes, that does require you to look over your classmates' posts before you make your own post. But I've been suggesting that to begin with since we started this course. So yes, quickly look over your classmates' posts before you post your own. Make sure your current event is something that has not already been discussed. Same thing with this. Where are we at here? Yeah, how do we know what we know? So again, this is a common theme. You'll see these in every module. If you're going to write about an experiment that was done, that's relevant to Module 6, then make sure a classmate hasn't already written about the same thing. And then finally, I reiterate this from last week, or excuse me, last module. For extra credit for these discussions, because discussion seems to be the hardest part for the students, you can just write papers and turn in papers that are relevant to the module, right? So look at Module 6, look at, here we go, Chapter 8, Chapter 9, right? Chapter 10. If it's relevant to Chapter 8, Chapter 9, or Chapter 10, you can write me a paper, submit it to me, and I will apply those points to your Module 6 discussion. Really quickly, the way you do that is you just go to here, Google Drive, you go up to Google, go to Google Docs, right? You're going to write me a paper. Technically, and you're not going to lose points for this, but it should be in Times New Roman, 12-point font, double spaced. That's what you should do. Anyway, once you're ready to turn it in, just go up here to the top right, hit that share button, and you'll name it. But then you will, there you go, add me, right? So add my email, and that's how you'll share it with me. And those extra credit points will be applied directly to your discussion. In other words, again, I know that discussion seems to be the most challenging assignment for the students. So I'm just trying to find out, or excuse me, trying to provide different ways for you to make up for lost points. And on that note, if you have an idea of something else that I could do to allow you to make up for lost points, or to make things easier, I'm here to help. I want to challenge you in some ways, um, but another way is I don't want to challenge you, right? I don't want the challenge to be, trying to figure out what I want from you in an assignment. That shouldn't be the challenge. So yeah, let me know if I can help you. Let me know how I can make things better. I'm here for you. And I think that's it. I don't have anything else. The last word for attendance will be speaker. Speaker's last word for attendance. And then again, as always, you should provide one question about the material presented in this video. And that's it. Have a great week, and let me know if you need help.